MadLab Performance presents The Lab Podcast. Here's your host and chief mad scientist, Dan Gilbert.
Hello and welcome everybody to The Lab. I'm here with Alec, Bulat. Alec, how you doing?
Pretty solid, Dan. How you doing today, man?
Awesome. I can't complain. Executive producer, fitness coach. All right. No one's in this other chair.
I was gonna say we're missing someone. Just imagine like we have somebody from the rotation sitting here with us.
Okay, yeah, it could be dealer's choice. So you guys can pick whoever you want to sit there and pretend that they're there.
Whoever you like more, you should message us or comment on our YouTube channel with.
Yeah, it's like favorite counselor kind of thing.
Yeah. It's gonna be a little awkward for some of them, but it'll be really fun for one of them.
Awkwardness makes the self grow. I think somebody said that one time.
Yeah, probably.
We do, however, still have Mike. Pan over to the wolf dog, if you will. The wolf dog is here. No explanation once again.
She's awake.
Oh, you're awake.
And she's awake. Yeah.
Well, she does wake up periodically.
She is alive, so that's good.
Also, very importantly, and I did not forget, because I love this company, today's podcast is brought to you by FNX Fitness. If you're looking for a supplement company that will help you rise up, look no further than FNX Fitness. With products ranging from recharge to help amp up your workout, restart for your AM protein blend, or rebalance for all of your super green needs, actually. Whether it be gaining muscle or just looking to live a healthier life, FNX will help you get there. For 15% off of all FNX products, use the code, Alec, MadLab. Capital M, capital L.
That is correct.
MadLab, yes. For 15% off, put that in your cart at checkout, and that way we can get you closer to all of your nutritional goals. Wolf dog, hold on.
It's true, Dan.
Alec, I got a question for you.
Yes.
How did you get into the fitness industry? And that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
All about you. And possibly me.
I was about to say, not just about me.
Oh, about...
We did that one time. We've done that enough.
Yeah, that's all good.
Yeah,
it's all good. It's an interesting topic.
It is. And I'll hit you back with it for a second. Or in a second.
I just always think it's interesting everybody's path into this industry because of... I think a lot of people either get in this industry because they're super passionate about it, or they come from other jobs because they're so tired of other jobs. So you have quite a transition in the industry from a lot of different ages, a lot of different demographics, a lot of different reasons and ideas and beliefs. And it's just it's really cool to me. So what's your story?
A lot of my story has actually already been told on this podcast, honestly, to a certain extent. Like we talked about it when we talked about like my sports background and stuff like that.
We're talking the Olympic podcast,
the Olympic
Lift
exactly.
podcast.
Yes,
which you guys should check out.
Exactly.
That's season 2, episode 6.
Nope.
Damn it.
Nope. Episode
7.
5. We're on 7 right now, big guy.
I had no idea where we were.
I figured.
I guessed, and I was close. I was within 5.
You were in 1 actually when you first guessed.
Okay.
Yeah, because you said 6 first, but it was 5.
Yes. Then I got further from everything.
Yes.
Farther, because we're talking about distance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. All right.
Continue.
Anyways, yeah. Yeah, man. It was God, like I think it was actually while I was at University of Oregon, and I was a history major at Oregon.
History major?
Yeah, right.
What kind of history?
So I preferred French Revolution and a lot of political theory, right? That was kind of my thing. I did AP US history, I did AP government, I did like all of the like prep work history classes to get me into it. And I just, I was like, yeah, history is my thing. It's what I know. It's what I'm comfortable with. It's a hobby of mine.
I have other questions now too, because and like why people choose, but most people, I feel like when I know that they're history majors, they'll be like, oh, I studied the Mongols, or I studied World War II, or I studied Roman history.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard somebody say French Revolution. That's very specific.
Yes.
Why French Revolution?
Mostly actually because of the political theory that surrounded it, right? It was a really radically different time in honestly, it's a momentous occasion in Europe's history, right? And a lot of the Western world is kind of built upon the precipice of what occurred during the French Revolution, right? Some could go as far to say that the ideas that surround the current, modern day democracy were formed from the French Revolution, right? And so, it was just one of those things that, especially Enlightenment era Europe, was so interesting, and people were just so thought-provoked about everything. They just wanted to constantly put out different information out there and just constantly converse about different ideas and topics, that the writing that followed suit is just amazing, right? I still to this day will read stuff that was written in the 18th century and be incredibly captivated, even though the actual dialogue itself is, way out of date compared to modern day literature.
Have you spoken about this before? Mike Hamilton, does that not sound like he's at a podium talking to a whole group of like 100 students or so? That's a good answer.
Yeah.
It's a good answer.
I interestingly enough, I wanted to be a teacher, right? Like not a high school teacher.
Think you could be, yeah.
Not a high school teacher. And Mike gave me a look there because I'm like, I just want to clarify, not a high school teacher.
So middle school.
Yes, middle school. much less crazy middle school.
Of course. Yeah. Less hormones.
I wanted to be a professor.
Or 4 times as much. I don't know.
Yeah, I wanted to be a professor. I just like teaching. Right, yeah. Teaching is an interesting thing.
So you want to get that, because it's funny that you say that, because I always thought the same thing, because I wanted to get. I like the pure academics of it, and I love to see where people are trying to figure out their lives and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I want to take the discipline part of it out, and I want to take the parent part of it out. Mm-hmm. Like I don't want to deal with parents. I don't have to deal with discipline.
Yeah.
And being a professor, you don't have to, for the most part, deal with that.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's to a certain extent, as a professor, you kind of have a lot more free reign. Like you don't have to deal as much with school boards. You kind of create your curriculum, right? You teach what you think is the most necessary thing to teach. And hopefully if you're a good professor, you convey it in a way that's going to be interesting and engaging for them, and they're going to enjoy and take a lot from your class.
So we have Alec Bulat, future executive producer of the Lab podcast, standing at a podium outside at University of Oregon.
Yes.
In the quad.
Yeah.
Because I assume there's a quad somewhere.
All right. There's multiple.
Preaching to hundreds of students about the French Revolution.
Nope, that never happened.
Well, that's possible.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, he gets an idea that he needs to get into fitness.
Yes.
What history? Is there a transition from history to fitness, or a history to something else and then fitness? Like how did this?
It was pretty immediately to fitness, and it was actually interesting because I kind of fell out of love with history pretty quickly, because after enough coursework, I was just kind of like, I just enjoy reading about this and studying it on my own, right? I'm not really into the whole organized version of this, right? Like, and then
you love what you love about it.
Yeah, exactly. I love what I love, and I'm going to read it when I read it. But like, I don't want to be told what to read, when to read it. I just realized I felt like I was dragging my feet along the more and more I went on through college.
Right. You don't want somebody to be like, this is who invented the bridge.
Yeah. Just stuff like, there's certain things I was interested in, I really like to learn about, but there was a lot of stuff that I was just like, I could go without this, right? And
I get that. I was a history major for a short period of time.
Yeah, you told me that. Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah. It was, and I admittedly, I went to college for the wrong reasons too. I was looking to have a lot more fun than I was to be very serious about my education at first. So
you probably hit about 70 to 90% of America. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So don't feel bad.
Yeah, I don't feel horrible about it, but at the same time, it was one of those things where like I probably would have thought a little bit more in depth about what I want to do with a career if I had, went to school with that in mind. But I didn't. Like, professor just sounded nice and I just enjoyed it. But like the almost immediately when I actually started getting closer, when I got into my junior year, when I started getting closer towards the end, right, and actually started talking with professors about graduate programs, and just the more I talked with them, the more I thought about how awful graduate school sounded, because it's essentially just a straight shot to PhD, right? So you got 8 years of just your nose in a book the entire time.
At that time, it seems like it's a long time regardless, but at that time, it seems like a lifetime.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean,
it's almost half your life.
I'm about to be 30, And in my head, I'm like, God, by that point, I'm going to be 30. What the hell? Like, I was just sitting there like, God, I'm so old. Yeah. So there's an irony in that itself. But yeah, man, I was like, dude, I am ready and willing to try and make a change. But then I immediately was like, I don't think I can do it anymore. Like I actually took a nutrition class and a summer exercise science course.
Were you interested in
human
that
physiology,
stuff before that? So like, what made you choose those courses?
I loved lifting.
Yeah.
I loved health and nutrition, and I chose those courses because I got really into getting in really good shape myself, right? I got really, really driven into being the best possible athlete or like lifter or whatever that I wanted to be myself. And so that desire drove my desire for continued education through that, right? So, and I needed to do science credits as part of my degree. So I chose human physiology, right? So with that came the nutrition classes, the exercise science classes and stuff like that. So I, unsurprisingly, did really well in them and enjoyed them really, really, like so thoroughly, right? I was immediately like, oh, this is different. This feels like it's for me, right? And so I immediately was like, I am going to start to entertain the idea of being a personal trainer. And so I started looking into personal training certifications, which is how I landed upon National Academy of Sports Medicine, right? And I contacted them and I'm like, hey, what do I need to do to become a personal trainer? And that's when they told me. That's when I got the book. And then I essentially like had a slow burn up until I graduated, and then finally actually took the test and got my certification. And from there, I just went straight to personal training and just kind of never looked back from there.
What was your first personal training job?
It was at a place called Olympic Athletic Club in Seattle. Yeah, it was really short-lived. I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah, it's a tough coming out. You're like,
yeah.
Oh, I got a certification. I know what I'm doing. And then you're like, oh, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, I was let go within the probation period. I was let go.
Dang.
Yeah, in less than 90 days. It was like 89.
Knowing you, that is so hard to imagine. I'd imagine, honestly, that they probably just made a mistake.
So here's the thing. I'll let you know why, because I don't think he did. He did what was best for his team at the time. And it made sense. And I'll explain why.
I have a counter argument probably already, but continue.
Fair enough. Like, granted, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and slander my first boss.
For sure.
But the point being was that he essentially, what I was doing, right, with my time, I didn't know how to prospect for clients. I didn't really understand, and I was never really taught. That was like the whole business side of being a personal trainer. I had absolutely no clue what I was doing.
So you went to this job as your first job, fresh off your certification.
Yep. And he took a chance on me. I interview really well. Yeah. So like he was just like, I never hire fresh personal trainers, but I'm going to give you a shot because I feel like you'd be a really good fit. And I'm like, cool, that's awesome.
And you were
really
never
excited.
taught prospecting or business?
No.
In your first job?
No.
But definitely not from the certification.
Definitely not from the certification. Yeah. So I had no idea.
The first employer probably knew.
Yeah.
All right.
So I had a couple of clients, but what I did with majority of my time there was I would help to clean up the gym a lot. I would help to maintain things. I would help with anything that they needed manual labor wise or going around. But also, and this is the one that I think bugged him the most, was I just sat and read all the time. I just picked up. He had a library of like exercise science related books, like Becoming a Supple Leopard, for instance.
Yeah. Start.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Great book. And like all of those were just lying around. And so I just picked them up and just started reading constantly.
Man, what a shitty employee you were. So you went around, you did whatever they asked, you did extra stuff, cleaned the gym, and then on your own time, sat and decided to soak up all of the knowledge that was in the gym.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
I mean,
no wonder they fired you right away. Who would want an employee like that? I don't know.
I mean, it sounds maybe a little bit more glamorous from my end. Who knows? I can't tell you what he was thinking or not. But like, my business the production wasn't there.
The thing that you're saying that's frustrating to me, because I've worked for 20 different facilities.
Yeah.
Maybe more than that now, but at least 20, maybe 21 or 22. It's like really close.
Yeah.
But I've seen how a lot of them do business, like treat business, but it's almost like you get your certification. They know the certification because they have certifications. They know the certification doesn't teach business.
Yeah.
Then they decide to put all of the onus on learning business onto you somehow.
Yeah.
Right. Of course, in which you are reading books and like researching. So I don't know how you're supposed to all of a sudden know all of this business.
Yeah.
Right. And then they're like, oh, why don't you know business? And you're like, well, this is my first job out of here. And in any job in any other industry, they teach you as you go, but not fitness.
Yeah.
Fitness is like, no, you should just know how to do everything magically.
Yeah.
And then they also wonder why gyms fail and struggle. And I would say that's one of the main reasons is that kind of thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I totally agree.
So
I totally agree.
Yeah, I don't think you should have been fired. So, but that's what
I mean,
hot take.
That's the thing.
Maybe.
Is that at the end of the day, who knows? There might have been other reasons. There might have been things I'm
not trying to get you. I know how you are. I know you're not.
I
Trying
was
to
gonna say I'm going to be too modest for this. I can't say
that's okay.
I can't say it. But it was funny because after being let go for that job, like that spot that I used to go lift at that gym when I was a kid. Like I grew up in the neighborhood of Seattle that it was in.
Is that gym still there?
Yeah, still there.
Oh,
really nice athletic club, like super fancy chandeliers on the like
Jesus.
like that kind of fancy. And I was so excited to get a job there that like when I got let go, I literally just was like I froze. I was just like I don't know what to do. And the interesting part was like for the next 3 weeks of my life, I was just like, man, I do not know what to do with myself. I need to find a job. I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I should go look at something else. I was really lucky. My mentor when I was coming right out of college used to work at 24 Hour Fitness. He reached out to one of my friends. I'm going to give him a shout out, Aaron Miller, who is the fitness manager at the downtown Seattle 24 Hour Fitness.
All right, Aaron.
He said, he essentially was like, I'm going to bring this kid in, give him an interview, see how he is. I went in, I interviewed. Once again, I do interview well, but Aaron was like, no, there's something about this kid. He needs to be on the team. Brought me in, and literally like it was like night and day. My experience at 24 Hour Fitness for being such like a Globo gym was amazing. Like they took the time to develop me. Aaron took the time
weird.
Yeah, right. They took the time to develop me. They took the time
Imagine
to
if
really
you develop your employees, what would happen?
Exactly.
I don't know. Like maybe you have a successful business. I don't
right.
know.
Right. And he was patient with me, which I think was the big thing. I had come off of being let go, and so I was a little bit skittish.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And
who wouldn't be?
So he was patient. He let me grow. He started me off small and then continued to let me grow and grow and grow. And then like next thing you know, I'm one of the top trainers in the club. Right. And about a couple years later, I'm the assistant fitness manager, and I slowly became the fitness manager and stuff like that. But this podcast is not about my origin story. It's about why you got into personal training. And I want to hear your story, Dan.
Oh, well, that I feel like your origin story is important. Mine is there's a lot there, my friend.
Yeah.
For sure. So I went to Salisbury University, and I graduated barely with journalism and public relations, and I had an English minor. So very random.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes, it is. It's kind of cool because like now we're like doing some stuff with it, and like I've done some stuff with it in the past, which I guess is good. But for a long time, I didn't do anything with it. The housing, it was right around I graduated winter of 2006, so 2007 I come out looking for a job. Housing market crashes. Federal jobs all freeze up. Like all sorts of government jobs freeze up. I get a job with the county working front desk at a community center, which actually paid pretty well because it was a nice county. So it was Howard County around here, where we are right now, actually.
Oh, are we in Howard County?
Yeah, we are technically in Howard County, right? Yes. Yeah. So in this county, so I started doing that, and then I like you try to do anything to like further myself or try to get better at my job or whatever. And so I started doing events for them. I started doing their kids program. Like I did anything possible to get more hours and to I wanted to grow through Howard County government because that's where I was and I liked the people around me and I was like, I can do this.
Yeah.
So I tried to do that, but then they had like pretty much everything frozen. So I was like, all right, well, if I can't do that, then I need to do something else. So I'm going to go to school for computers. So I went to Carroll Community College, which you're going to now.
Yeah.
So I went there, and then I don't remember how I got this job, but I got a job in their IT program. In their IT department. So it was just like a grunt job in their IT department. So I literally would go to teachers' classrooms and I'd go, well, is your computer even plugged in? And then I would like plug in the computer and magically it would turn on.
Yeah.
So like I didn't have any really, I wasn't as smart as like some of the guys in there, but like
Yeah.
I could do like the grunt tasks like that and be like, oh, well, you just need to hit power, to turn on. And that sounds like an exaggeration, but that did happen pretty much half the time. It was amazing because they told me that in my interview. And then that was what happened. So I was like, all right, well, I can at least turn a computer on. So I have that skill.
There we go.
So I started doing programming stuff. And then while I was doing that and doing all this stuff at the community center, one of the head trainer at the community center, a shout out to her, Sarah Schwab, amazing lady. So if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be in fitness.
Yeah.
She was like, hey, you love to work out. You're here all the time. You're giving people advice. Because people would come up to me and ask me stuff all the time. Because I was in that weight room all the time. So she was like, you should become a personal trainer. And I was like, how do I do that? So she was like, all right, well, here's certifications that you can take. So I took American Council on Exercise, got the book for that, started to do that. And then as I was taking classes and as I was doing the certification, I actually completed that and then got my certification. So I was like, all right, well, now I have this pathway. I should just concentrate on that. So I scrapped all the other stuff, just concentrated on building my business as a personal trainer. Started to get some clients, really enjoyed it. After about a year, I realized I was a pretty shitty trainer. So I had like 4 clients at one time ever. And I would read about these guys that would have all of these clients. And I even had some people that I went to school with because Salisbury is a big exercise science college.
Okay.
So some of them would be doing amazing things in the industry. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? Because I feel like I'm pretty smart. And most jobs that I worked, I would always like rise up pretty quickly. And I was like, I have to be missing something. So I felt like I had to learn some other stuff. So I went to a larger gym. And I go to this large gym, a gym in Frederick that's no longer there. I think that's a Gold's now.
Okay.
So I went there and this guy interviewed me and he was like telling me about X, Y, and Z and like grilling me on these questions. And I was doing terrible because I'd be like, oh, okay, you do this, this, and this. And he'd be like, nope, no, you actually do these things. And I like had never heard of some of the stuff that he was talking about.
Yeah.
So part of me got excited, but also I was a little depressed about it because like I'm failing this interview.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, he was like, all right, man, well, I think that you did great in the interview and you're hired. I have some stuff to learn or whatever. And I was like, okay, I don't know why. I like got every question wrong, but I guess like he just liked my personality and like maybe he thought he could teach me. Yeah. So I go, all right, well, I really got to learn from this guy because I'm obviously way behind on everything. 2 weeks later, he gets fired because quotas were crazy in that company. Okay. Everything was just sales quota-esque. Everything was like, if you don't hit this number, then you only make X amount of money. We slash your money this way. And then if you don't hit this quota this long, then you're gone.
Yikes.
Yeah. So, and he was a good dude, like smart guy too. So I go, I have to start doing some of his duties because I'm the worst trainer there and I have
more time.
I had way more time. So I had like 6 clients or something like that.
Yeah.
So they started giving me these assessment duties. I made up my own assessment, started doing that. I wasn't even allowed to show prices or sell people. I had to give them over to the assistant fitness director, which now looking from a sales perspective was kind of insane that people still bought that way. Yeah. Because you'd have them come in, they would get excited, and then I would have to tell them to go call my boss. Yeah. And then they would have to go call him, and then he would have to sell them over the phone.
What a disconnect.
Yeah, it was crazy. It made no sense.
Yeah, it was just like
at all.
I hated stuff like that.
Yeah. So, but I didn't know any better, so I was just doing it. And I always think of processes in my head, so I was like, all right, well, maybe there's a better way to do this, maybe a better way to do this, and I'm ambitious, so I go, all right, well, if I'm doing all this stuff and I've talked to everybody. There's 6 or 7 other trainers there, and they were all real cool people. So I talked to them. None of them wanted to be a director. So I figured I would become the assistant director, and then the assistant director would become the director. Like that seems like the national order of things. In a year, I felt like I could be a director. So that was my goal. I was like, all right, in a year, I want to be a director of this company. And so I sit down. The assistant director brings me into his office, and he goes, Dan, I think, and I'm like, all right, he's going to ask if I want to be assistant fitness director. I'm ready for what I'm going to say or whatever. And he goes, Dan, I think you make a good director. And I'm like, what? In my head, I'm like, wait, that doesn't even make any sense. I've never sold anybody. I've never managed people in my whole life.
Yeah.
I have no idea what this guy's talking about. So I just go, yeah, I think I would make a good director too, because I had like nothing prepared for that at all.
With it.
Yeah. So then I became a director of a giant health club. And I struggled at first because I had no idea what I was doing. But their vice president taught me a lot. Like took me to this. They take you to like a 3-day course to learn all this stuff. Yeah. So I did that, and I just did everything that was in that book, and because he had like his own sales book and all this stuff. And then I set records from them from then on.
Nice, man.
Yep. Well, it was cool for a little bit, and then I got fired from that job because they were firing trainers, and I backed up one of the trainers, and that's a whole long story. And then I went to work for another company because I just thought that every company was going to be like that, and I'd make the money that I was making there, and just I would set records wherever. So I went to this company that I'm pretty sure was run by criminals at the time, so I won't name this company at all, but they were outsourced into other gyms. So, and the other gyms hated them. As soon as I came in, I could tell that there was a problem. Yeah. And the gym did not like the company I was working for, but that company did all the personal training for that gym.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the gym was a Retro Fitness, and I like Retro Fitness. I think they're good. I won't say the company that was that they were outsourcing to.
Gotcha.
And I won't say where it was either. But people hated that company. I couldn't figure out why. And then I found out that the person before me had gone to jail for stealing $30,000 worth of money off of people's credit cards over a year span. And I was like, oh, cool. Awesome. Yeah. And then I found out some other stuff about the company too. And I ended up leaving at the time that my son was born. So I've had a really rocky road through fitness, and have gone in and out of fitness probably 3 or 4 times in my 12-year career. But it's something that always brings me back to it. Yeah. One of the big things I told myself I never wanted to do is I never wanted to own a gym. Never wanted to own a gym, because I just looked at all the overhead and all the craziness that went with it. I was like, I'll manage gyms. Maybe I'll do consulting work or whatever, but I'll never own one. And then sure enough, I'm a commercial real estate agent because Dan has to get involved in everything. Yep. And even then I was accidentally a commercial real estate agent. I was in residential at one point, and then I taught myself commercial because people started asking me about like commercial real estate because I knew a bunch of people. Yeah. Then I helped these doctors get into a space, and the doctors were like, you know what you should do? I was like, what should I do? And they were like, you should have a personal training studio in our office. And I was like, I should do that. I know a bunch of trainers that'll come over. And then I had a bunch of trainers come over. Yeah. A bunch of them, like obviously Luke was one of them. Hendy was one of them. So they come over. I bring a bunch of clients flood to us because we were really lucky. I got really, really lucky with some stuff. And in about a month or two, that place was packed. And the doctor was like, you are too busy to be here. Like, this is a clinic. We can't have like baseball kids over here and basketball kids over here and like all this wildness. And I was like, that makes sense. I was like, all right, well, I'll have to find a bigger place. So now we have MadLab. Yep.
There we go.
Yeah.
Man, full origin story. Well,
yeah, there's
missing a big chunk of stuff.
There's big chunks of stuff. I mean, some of the stuff I feel like I saw a lot of was exactly what happened to you in your first job. And I saw a huge disconnect from direct supervisors. And obviously everything's connected to the top, right? It starts with the owner, and then it's like the GMs, and then it's, or it's the owner, it's the VPs, and it's whatever GMs or fitness directors or whatever. And then it trickles down into the trainers. But there should be a process by which if you hire somebody, yes, they have a pact to you to work hard and like do whatever, but there's also expectation that you develop them and then get them to fit into their role, right? So if you can't do that, don't hire the person. Like if I hire somebody that just got a certification, you already know that certifications don't teach business. Like they just don't really well. It's something that's hugely missing in our industry, right? And certification barely teach you training. We all know that too. Like they give you good ideas about it. They don't really teach you training. Wolf dog, you right over here?
Must say she's really running.
Well, she got her rabies shot today, so she's rabid. Hopefully. So I gotta be careful. Yeah. Otherwise, I might get rabies, and the world's not ready for that.
No, we're not.
no. Where was I with this?
Yes, but so basically you were talking about how like a lot of people don't get people ready and prepped for those type of roles, right? And like part of the industry itself, part of the role of what you've done a lot.
Yeah, so right? So I feel like those certifications like barely get you ready to train. You don't know how to cue. You still don't know. You don't fully know programming either. Yeah. Until you start doing so. if somebody's coming off their certification, you need to teach all that, and you have to have a process by which to do that. You can't just go, all right, Alec, put your arm around Alec and go, here's what's going to happen. I need you, sales is all a numbers game. Training's all a numbers game. I need you to talk to 100 clients or 100 customers out there. I need you to talk to 100 people. But out of those 100, I need you to set 50 or 60 appointments. And out of those 50 or 60 appointments, I need you to turn over 20 or 30 clients.
Yeah.
All right. That's what's going to make you successful. So really, if you just talk to 100 people a day, you'll make $1 million in about 3 weeks.
Yep.
You know, like it's just like, seems like it's just the same.
It's wild how that works, right?
And that sounds, to everybody at home, that sounds like an exaggeration. Maybe the $1 million in 3 weeks is a little exaggeration, but some of the money promises were wild. And then also like the amount of stuff that they want you to do prospect without really telling you what to do was insane. That's why personal trainers also have a stigma about them, like of bothering people.
Yeah.
Because their bosses literally go, hey, I need you to bother all these people. I had somebody at I was working at a gym, another outsourced company. So it was a different one, not the criminals. You know, all of these guys are also pretty questionable. One guy comes in, he came in pretty lethargic from his car early. They came in the morning, real lethargic. Went out to his car for about 30 minutes and came back hyped. So I don't know what happened to him at all, and I'm not trying to say anything, but you know, I feel like anybody can draw parallels, and I think that was a lot of what was going on. And he would just grabbed me and he was like, "Hey, you need to start talking to some people." And I'm like, "Well, I already bring in and and whatever." And he's like, "No. We need to get even more appointments." And I was like, "Okay." And he's like, "See that girl on the treadmill? Just go up to her and start talking to her. I'm going to tell you exactly what to say. So he gave me like some script to talk to this girl. It's so uncomfortable. Like I go up there and this poor girl is like walking on the treadmill. She has headphones in, and I have to go up and like and go, "Hey," and you know, obviously they try to ignore you at first, and then your boss is sitting there and just looking across the gym at you, and you're like, "All right, well, I have to make this happen." So then I have to have a conversation, and part of the conversation, I would always try to say, "Hey, they are making me do this." It's like I feel terrible that you have to go through this, but I literally have to say something to you. So I am. Please continue your workout or whatever. Or sometimes I would get like some good conversation with them after a while, but it brings a stigma to personal trainers that they're there just to make money or make sales or to bother you or whatever. And I think the best thing that you can do to prospect as a trainer is talk to everybody in the gym by just saying, "Hey, how are you doing today?" And "Hey, have a good day." That's it.
Yeah.
If you tell every single person that you come across that, whether they're coming in the gym or leaving, or they're just like on a piece of equipment, and you say, "Hey, how are you doing?" and you walk by. If I said hi to you 20 times in a row in the gym, if you have something go on, whether it's something in your workout, whether it's something that you see in the gym that's broken or whatever it is, you are likely coming to me right away. And that's what would happen. So I just started doing that at one point. Somebody gave me that advice, and whoever that is a genius. Shout out to you. I wish I remembered who that was, because that was one of the best pieces of prospecting advice I ever got.
Yeah.
Because then you would just become like, your goal would be to become like a celebrity in your own gym.
Yeah. You're the mayor of the town.
That's the key.
That's what they used to call it. Yeah.
That's the most important thing that you can do. Not go, all right, well, you need to go up to, I actually had we had a vice president come in and try to teach us prospecting. And I had already taught my staff all of this stuff. And we actually were setting records where we were, and we were the only club in the company to hit goal constantly. It's a place that we recently were at, actually. So some of them will know. So the VP came to us and he was like, "If you come up to somebody with earphones on, really easy thing that you can do to get them to listen to you. Just walk up to them, make sure you're in the field of vision, and then just pretend that you have headphones in and just like pull, like you're pulling your earbud out. And that way they'll pull their earbud out." And I'm like, that's not helpful. Like that's still like very invasive. Like I don't know how it's not working at your other clubs either. So I don't know what to tell you. But again, you should have that. And then once somebody starts talking about fitness to one of your trainers, you should have a way that you can take them and then put them in, like be able to like get them to meet with you and like have some kind of free assessment or appointment or whatever it is. And then if you're going to sell from there, then you're going to sell from there. Right. But there should be a process to do that. And it should be a process by which not only the trainer is comfortable, but definitely that the customer is comfortable.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
That's the only way people are going to do anything that they're going to that they're going to do long term, and then they're also going to enjoy and be able to speak well about you and be like, oh man, I'm so glad I met Alec. He was so cool, and like he's helped me with all this stuff, and it's just like it's just been the greatest process, right? And I think that's important, and a lot of people miss that in fitness, and I think that's why a lot of people fail. A lot of personal training programs, and certainly a lot of gyms, you see those close all the time.
For sure. Yeah, man. I mean, no, I think that's one of the things that I had a really hard time with myself, right? It was doing those weird, uncomfortable things where I was just like, I feel like I'm just being a nuisance, right?
Yeah. It's the worst.
And the thing is that like there would be times where I would be really hyped and I would talk to people. Like I would do, so even as a fitness manager, because we have a unique common ground between the two of us, right? Is that we're at both points. You've obviously been a fitness director many times, but
we were global gym fitness directors.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'd love to say that I haven't like, had my team go out and do stuff like some of the things that you were just talking about, but that would just be untrue. But
I've done the same thing.
I was gonna say it was just one of those things that I was taught early on sometimes, and you just thought it was part of the process. And then you just realized, I don't know, there was just a certain point when it kind of clicked for me, where I was just like, I'm like, what am I even doing? Like, what am I doing with these people? I'm not helping them by just like going and agitating them constantly. Like they're gonna want to come to me if they have questions. So I actually would do stuff like, and I would try to have new PTs do this with me, was I would do a body fat table, right? Where I would just like set up a body fat table and they would just sit there and we wouldn't worry about prospecting, right? I would say like, don't worry about booking consultations unless they initiate the, hey, like, can I find out more? Or it becomes such a natural transition where you're like, hey, I want to teach you more. Let's put something into my schedule, right? That was my big thing, which is like, hey, give your team opportunities to try and get a conversation going with somebody to the point where they feel comfortable enough to ask you questions because they have questions, because either they want to get from point A to point B, or they're, stuck somewhere, or whatever it be, right? And then they're like, you know what? I like you. I feel comfortable talking to you. I'm going to ask a specific question. And that's when it's like, okay, now we can set up something where you can actually come and talk to me, right? And it doesn't have to be a ploy. It doesn't have to be a trick. It's just natural progression, right?
Yeah, because they're curious and they ask a question. I do the same thing when even if you're out, you can do that too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if I see somebody at a store or something and they're like, hey, I was wondering about this, or like my knee's been hurting me. I'm like, all right, well,
here's my contact information.
Here's most likely what it is based on what you're saying, but I don't know that. And so, I think if you put them in a position to have some kind of conversation, I hate the body fat tables because they used to make us do those things, and then you'd have to book 20 consultations out of the body fat table.
Oh, see, that's the thing. That's when you mess up, right? Yeah. It's like I liked body fat tables because, and this is what I would tell people, kind of similar to the mayor of your own town kind of situation. Yeah. And I didn't have nearly the same success that you did as a fitness director, but
you sound like you had a good amount of success when we talked before.
From like a financial standpoint, not exactly.
Well, I also did longer too, so
I rose up the ranks quickly, and I did in certain places. But at the very tail end, when I was at the highest of the high, I had some struggles, but everybody does, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. But it was, for me, it was one of those things where it was just like, hey, I want you to go out there and body fat tape. Yeah, right. Hey,
do you want I want a front squat.
Hey, we had to wrap it back into this podcast too.
It did.
It's gonna come back every single.
You
episode.
Like the hay with the pregnant pause.
Yeah, dude. It's my dramatic pause.
That's perfect.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why it's hay.
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry, man. Don't be sorry.
I like the hay.
Yeah, it's just always hay though. You're right. I thought about that. I was like, it is always hay. Hay is not for horses in this sense.
No, it's for everybody.
Yeah,
for all of us.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a community builder.
So I would have them do body fat tables, and I would tell them specifically like try and get consultations out of it if you can, but the most important part is for you to introduce yourself to everybody, right? And I would do this almost exclusively for new trainers, because it'd be like, well, we need to get your face out there, right? We need people to see you. And then, but oftentimes, like the biggest thing that I would tell a lot of my team was that, and I wish I had thought a lot about training and essentially sales to a certain extent, right? And I don't like using the term sales even because it makes it sound like, once again, we're trying to push sales when in reality, what we're trying to do is help people out, right? And that's just a transaction that naturally occurs out of it, right? I like your idea of like the way that you go about it and the way that you think about it. And I've watched you do this enough at MadLab now to get a general grasp. It's like it's exactly what you're talking about. It's like you want people to feel comfortable first and foremost, right? You want them to feel comfortable. And most people who are coming into MadLab already have in mind that they need some help, right? And a lot of people at gyms, right? And we've talked about this before. A lot of people at gyms, when they first come in, they have an idea that they want to be somewhere. They
did make a decision.
They made a decision to come in that door.
Even a concerted financial decision, even.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And whether they want to just kind of do their own thing, which is, hey, fine. If you're at a global gym and somebody comes in, they're like, I just want to do my own thing. Don't bother me. Then let them go. Like, that's fine. But there's going to be enough people that they're going to be like, hey, I have no idea what I'm doing. And it's like, okay, well, let me show you how I can help you. Right. And that's the thing, is that at the end of the day, it's more of like I want you to feel comfortable with what you're doing here. I want you to feel comfortable in this spot, in this place. I want you to feel comfortable around me. I want you to feel comfortable around my team. And I don't want you to see us as like some big scary blob of, vacuum salesmen going door to door, right? Like we should be people that you trust and try and, feel good about coming to for certain things.
And what you just said is probably my favorite thing about the fitness industry, right? Mm-hmm. Because it breeds so much discomfort from people that aren't professionals in the industry, but then also aren't where they want to be shape-wise, right? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of us, we obviously have our own goals, and we're usually never where we want to be shape-wise. Mm-hmm. But to other people, they are like, man, I wish I could do this, this, and this. And we a lot of times can easily do some stuff that other people, that we take for granted, right? Like there's people that want to do pull-ups, and we're like, we can do whatever, right? And they're like, oh man, this would be so cool. This would be so cool. But to take that and come from a position of, to them seems like a power position where you could really use that to, which a lot of people do, to intimidate or like push people to do a certain thing, and instead take it and just be able to go, all right, yes, I am here, but you could be too. And I just want you to feel comfortable doing it. So however that happens with you, I'm here to support you to do it, and not go, you can only do it this way, or you can only do this way, or you need to spend X amount of dollars to do that. Instead of doing that, just be like, all right, well, even if you don't, even if whatever, you don't make a decision that has anything to do with finances, I can still help you with something, right? And just be able to like do that extra stuff for people, get them to feel really important, get them to feel comfortable, really just get them to feel important and comfortable. Yeah. Because people just want that in everyday life anyway. Yeah. Right. They usually come to be in the gym is probably uncomfortable for them. And then they probably most people don't have a lot of places where they feel like they're super important all the time. Mm-hmm. And if you can give that to somebody all the time, I think that's so cool. Yeah. And to be able to do that in something that I love doing is why I love fitness so much. So like that is what makes me continue my job every single day. Yeah. Is exactly that.
Yeah, man. I'm totally with you, dude. I used to, and to this day, I still like look back at this fondly. I would plug people in for consultations, right? And this was even when I was an assistant fitness manager as well as a fitness director. I would I've seen them like 5 times in the last month, right? Like this person should not be being plugged into my schedule as a consultation.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Actually,
but they just
this is something like, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
They needed help. Or oftentimes I would typically just stop plugging them in as consultations and put them in for like a 30-minute block, right? Because my schedule, if anybody who's listening to this, if you worked for me and you saw, worked for me, I don't even like that term. If you were on my team and you saw my schedule, you would understand this. Like they would laugh because they would see, it was literally like from start to finish every day, every single second was blocked off. And so I would plug in little 15-minute segments where I would sit down and talk with people, and I would do this a lot. I remember there's some people that I did this for like 6 months with, and I knew that they didn't want to train, right? They either couldn't afford it, right, which is a common thing, or B, they honestly just wanted to like get a little bit of feedback on some stuff and then just kind of continue on, which I was fine with, right? Like 15 minutes of my time, I look over some stuff and I call it good. That's not going to be something where I feel like I'm devaluing myself, right? And as a fitness director too, like at that time, my job was to encourage people and make people in the gym feel comfortable and make my team better. So like, you know, that was my main responsibility. So taking a little bit of time out of my day, you know, every month or etc., right, didn't feel bad.
But that's awesome. That's amazing. That's what people should do.
Yeah.
Right? If you're in an industry, again, I think that the fitness industry, like I was saying before, is a very intriguing one because of how everybody gets into it, right?
Yeah.
You have people that got into it because they just love health and fitness,
Yeah.
right? And you have people that get into it because they love helping people. You have people that transition from other jobs later in life into it because of the same kind of things, and they want to do something they love.
Yeah.
So why are you doing, like, it makes sense that that's the way that you would approach it.
Yeah.
So more people need to approach it that way. Otherwise, I don't understand why you'd be in an industry like this.
Yeah.
Because it's not like it's some industry with a crazy profit margin or anything, because it's not at all. Yeah, there's plenty of other industries that you could have the same skills and make a S ton more money doing. So
You're gonna censor yourself now again? Like
every once in a while, I have like a quote in my head.
Give it 2, Dan. Come on.
I got 2 today.
Yeah, I know. It's good.
So that would be a third one. I don't know. We'll see. I'm saving it. I'm saving it up for something cool.
Yeah, but it's true. It's true, man. It's an important note because, and I think to kind of go into my why as well. You kind of talked about like why you continue on further and further going down the road. The why for me is like it's interesting because when I really boil it down, and sometimes I have to really think about this. It's just the moments that I have with people.
Yeah.
Right? Like, why do I continue to do this? Right? And it sounds so ridiculous because you obviously want to help people. You obviously want to make them feel better consistently and feel more confident and get towards their goals. But like the thing that keeps me doing what I do every single day, right? And just continue to work as I am now. And the reason I missed personal training so long when I was out of it recently while I was starting school, was it's those moments. It's those connections. And I'm a big connection guy.
Yeah.
Like the connections and the bonds that you form with people over time, over that process, over going through, going from point A to point B, seeing, and oh man, when you start to see results together too, oh, that's just a trip in its own right. But like
the Olympic lifter you were talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Jeff was the best.
Yeah,
I was about to say, I like Jeff was just a friend of mine at a certain point. Like he and like a bunch of my other clients, right? Like those were my friends. When I left and my team, I loved the team that I worked with at downtown Seattle, but the people that I was like, because I knew I was going to see them still. I knew I was going to see them around. I hung out with a lot of them outside of the gym anyways. So like I said bye to the team. I said I was going to miss a lot of them. And I really meant it. It was hard for me to leave my clients. Like I was so attached to so many of them that like I had been working with some of them since I had started at 24 Hour Fitness. And when I got promoted and I was telling them I was going to be leaving to a different location, right? I just sat there and I was just like, this is one of the hardest things I've ever had to say. Like it was difficult because we had built such a connection over that time that like they knew more about me than some of my like low level friends or like acquaintances would, right? Like these people knew a lot about me. I knew a lot about them.
Damn low level friends.
Low level friends, right? I tried to give my actual friends some credit there for a second. But
how long were you with 24 Hour?
From 2016 to 2020.
Oh, so you were there a while.
Yeah, decent amount of time.
I don't know if I was at any gym that long.
Yeah, dude. I think my 4-year was like pretty much. Actually, yeah, it was when COVID hit was my 4-year because I started in March 2016 and I left March 2020.
Well, they bankrupted.
Well, they furloughed me and then let me go. So
I think that happened to everybody.
Yeah, I'll say. So, yeah. That was an interesting process. It was a very I remember being like, it was such an unceremonious way for me to leave the company that had done so much for me. I was like, and that's the thing it was mostly the people that I worked with. So I remember I sent like this big group message to my team, talked to a bunch of other people. I was just like, hey guys, I loved working with all of you. Like it was amazing what we've done these past few years. I'm going to miss the hell out of you. And I wish they could listen now because I really like all the people that I've met throughout my time there was like incredibly influential to me.
Well, they could be one of our millions of listeners.
Millions.
So, millions.
Yeah. We need more sponsors, by the way.
Yeah, because we have millions of listeners.
Yeah.
Potential listeners. So
Potential listeners. But also, we're getting so many business-specific, like, emails and...
asking me
calls.
Sponsors, but we're waiting for the right ones.
Yeah, exactly.
We're
like, you know...
Like Charles Barkley.
Yeah. So yeah, it was... man.
Mike Tyson, that's the other one.
Oh, right. Mike Tyson.
Because we're not going to be sponsored by businesses all the time, and just sometimes just pure celebrity. Or shows, we decided too.
If a celebrity just wanted to sponsor us, I'd be so down for that. Just so like, hey, today's episode sponsored by
I'm just kidding.
Mike Tyson. That's it. That's the entire ad read.
And his tiger.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
So, tigers aside,
and we'd have a quick flash to the cartoon, because that cartoon again is amazing.
Yeah, everybody. I think it's Adult Swim. I want to say
it's gotta be.
Yeah, it seems like an Adult Swim show.
I only saw the one the clip that my sister sent me, and then I went down a rabbit hole on YouTube and started watching. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah,
and I was really excited.
I've only listened to it a few times or watched it a few times.
Because you worked at and some of the stuff can happen at small gyms, but I feel like it happens more often at large gyms. What is either the weirdest thing you saw, or the most embarrassing thing, or both?
Dude, I don't know if I can do the weirdest thing, because it's so bad that it's like should I talk about this on our podcast?
Well, let's talk about it, and we'll cut it out.
Okay.
So, and it'll find it funny because Michael cut it out after I say this.
Yes.
So then it'll be like a big cut point, and then we'll be like, well, we could be back. And we're like, we can't say that.
The weirdest thing.
It was like,
just right. So, the weirdest thing that actually, you know what? I think I might go with this specific one was a really fun one. Was the poop smear.
That's all right.
The old poop smear. So he was a average clean cut white guy, business attire, who would come into 24-hour fitnesses late at night when nobody was there, because we're open 24-hour.
Makes sense. It's in the name.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. And he would find the areas where there were no cameras. Mm-hmm. He would search out for them. This dude was a lunatic. And
this already sounds pretty crazy.
He would take his finger and swipe his poop, and then draw stuff on the mirrors and walls and stuff. Oh yeah, he did this at like 4 different locations.
What? Any time at your location?
Oh yeah, tons of times. Yeah,
tons of times.
Yeah, he was the poop smear.
Did you just like? What was it? Was there every time when you came in, you were like, "No, you got hit," or was it like you were told about it?
Pretty much, yeah. Like I would come in the morning, and people were just like, "You got," and I'm just like, "Ah, damn."
That's terrible.
Son of a bitch. Yeah, there's one time when I was the manager on duty though. I got in like this was literally the first thing I just gotten in. It was like 7 a.m, and I walk in and somebody's like, "Hey, Alec, we need you." And I knew that voice. I'm just like, I just got here. What happened? And I came in early that day to get some administrative work done too. So I was just like, oh, come on. So I walked downstairs, and there's a guy, and they're like, this guy he's broken his arm, and he's clearly homeless. A lot of homeless people would come into the downtown Seattle location, right? They would get memberships, and they would like try and sleep the night there. They would use our restrooms and et cetera, right? Which for the most part wasn't a huge deal. Yeah. But this one time, this guy was there, and he'd literally clearly just been released from a hospital. Like he's in
scrubs and stuff. No, not scrubs, whatever. What do you call the thing?
Yeah, the gown.
The gown.
Yeah, he's wearing. Yeah, he's in a gown. Yeah. Scrubs. Yeah, he was the nurse. Yeah. So
he got a job there real quick.
He's in a gown, and so I go up to him and I'm like, "Hey man, is everything all right?" And he looks at me. He's like, "My arm's broken, and also, I pooped myself."
Ouch.
That's it. And I'm just sitting there. I'm just like, all right, man. All right, cool. And I turn around, and sure enough, there's a brown spot on the back end, and
No.
he pooped himself good, and broke he's holding his arm, making sure it's not flopping around, and he pooped himself.
So what do you do in that situation?
I called paramedics because he had a broken arm, and also he pooped himself.
So you don't break out the mop and bucket and be like, all right,
oh, you better believe
we're
my
wiping
ass.
You down.
You better believe my ass had to clean that shit up afterwards.
That's
right?
terrible.
Like I didn't have to clean. I don't think I had to clean literal poop because I don't think any have spilt out.
Yeah.
But
I don't think I've had to clean poop.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
That's something else.
Not fun.
No.
Yeah. So, same question for you, Dan.
Oh man, I don't even. Wolf dog, what are you doing? Just burrowing. Dog. It's all right. Well, I've had a million things happen. I've had no poop smear. I don't think I have anything that matches that. Just don't hit his computer. Here, you take this.
Yep. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. We don't need any collateral damage.
You realize that the poop smear portion of this is definitely going to be going on the social medias, right?
Oh,
it's gonna
for sure.
It's going to be the clip. It's going to be the first one.
Clip.
Yeah.
So one of the first director job that I had, right? A bunch of things happened in that. That was the weirdest gym I've still to this date ever worked in. We had a guy there that we called Doug the Bug, and I don't even think his name was Doug. And he wore a suit and he would wear fuzzy slippers in the gym. And then one time he wanted us to see his boat, so he brought like a 12-foot John boat in.
What?
Or he tried to. We stopped him. He was just carrying this boat in. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. So,
okay.
But that wasn't the weirdest or the most embarrassing thing that happened.
Yeah.
Because none of those were embarrassing. Those were just weird.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
So we had to do our assessments. We had to do body fat. And we had like an in-body machine. So anybody who doesn't know an in-body machine, it's like a machine that digitally you can take body fat and it'll digitally put that onto a profile for you, and then you can do some kind of like bicep test for strength, which makes no sense. And then you do like a sit and reach, and like it just records all of this stuff digitally, and then it'll tell you what your body age. I think it was just called a body age machine. Yeah. But in body, it's like all the same kind of stuff. So then it would be like, all right, well, it'll be like, Alec, you're 29, but your body age is 75, and that mean you're in trouble. Or it'd be like, Alec, you're 29, your body age is 20, and you're like, they're in good shape, right? So they had to go through all these things. So the body fat was like the Jackson Pollock like 3 site is the one that we did.
Okay.
Right, and so for a female, I would take the tricep, the suprailiac. Yeah. And then I would take the thigh. Yeah. Right. And so I have this lady in front of me, and I can't remember. She was like 65 to 75, somewhere. I think she was in her 70s.
Okay.
Right. And so she's standing there, really hilarious lady, talking to me about all sorts of wild stuff. Yeah. And my desk was in the middle of the gym. So it wasn't in an office.
Oh, really?
In the middle of the gym. Yeah.
That's
right in front of me, really uncomfortable, was like a tricep dip machine. So people would just be like grunting on the tricep dip, and I'd be like sitting across from you and like in a consultation, and the guy would be like right there. And I'm like, why is this here? So right in the middle of the gym. And so I'm doing the body age or whatever, and I take the tricep, I take the suprailiac, which is like on the side here. And I was like, all right, I need to take your thigh. So to do that, I just need to get the middle of your thigh so you can just pull up. And I try to say, pull up your pant leg. But she did not let me get to that point. So she just took her pants off.
Nice.
Yeah. So just with, just underwear, just sitting there in the gym with no pants on in the middle of everything. And I was like, oh, no. I was like, you can just, and she goes, son. And she just stops me with like a sharp sun to me and goes, son, and looks down at me because I'm like on one knee pretty much. Yeah. And so it's just a weird situation. She just looks right down at me and she goes, the only one that is embarrassed right now is you. And I was like, okay. She goes, take the measurement. And so I just took the measurement from there on.
Damn, that's
my face was so red.
Oh, I can imagine.
I was like, okay. I was like, it was tough. So that's probably the most. I don't even know if that's the most embarrassed I've been.
That's
in a
some
gym.
serious confidence, though.
Yeah, she was a beast.
Confidence.
Yeah, she just looked straight down at me and was like, son, The only one embarrassed right now is you.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'm definitely embarrassed.
You're
for
right.
sure.
You are right. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're not embarrassed and I'm embarrassed, then I'm the only one embarrassed.
I had another
That's how it
time in
goes.
that gym. I was sitting there, and one of my trainers came over. Real cool guy, my friend Mike. Mike, I love Mike to this day. It was just his birthday the other day.
Happy birthday, Mike.
Yeah, real cool guy, real cool. You'd like him a lot.
Okay.
And I wish he could work with us again in some capacity. But I think he lives down. I feel like he lives in North Carolina or something like that, or South Carolina. I could be wrong. So sorry, Mike, if I am wrong. So he comes over to me, and he's big kind of rule guy, super smart, but big rules, like loves his rules. And so he comes over and he's like, Dan, there's people over there by the rower. I think they're drinking alcohol. And I was like, what? Well, that's a first in this gym.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, well, I'll go talk to him. Because I would confront everything. So anything that happened, people would come up to you, just like you probably fitness director, like they come up to you and like, hey, can you do this? And I would go confront whatever it is in the gym. Yep. So I will go up there, and there's these two, it's an older couple sitting by the rower, and they have bags around, bottles of, I think it was bottles of wine or champagne.
Okay.
So they had 2 bottles of wine or 2 bottles of champagne, I can't remember. And they're sitting there, and I was like, hey guys, how you guys doing today? And they're like, great. We're celebrating, and it was something insane. It was like her 200th or 500,000th. She had done 200,000 or 500,000 miles rowing.
Oh,
so
wow.
both on the rower and on the water.
Okay.
So combined in whatever the timeline was also ridiculous. So it made no sense. I was like, oh my God. I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah. And it wasn't like, they weren't just being delinquent. They just were just celebrating something.
Yeah.
And was it illegal in the gym? Yes, it was. But also, not only were they super clear with me what they were doing, but that it was also whatever she said. I can't remember the exact things of it, but I did the math in my head, and I was like, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. So I go, congratulations, this is awesome. And then I just walked away. And then Mike was like, did you stop them? What did you do? And I was like, oh no, they did this, and this. And like, well, they can't drink in here. I was like, well, I don't think anybody's going to stop them.
I was going to say.
So I was like, it's not going to be me, because I'm super impressed, and I did not think they were going to say that, and they were very honest about it. So in my head, I was amused by it, so I probably shouldn't have done that, but whatever.
Yeah, man. I had so many times where I had to go have uncomfortable conversations with people where I was like, basically like, hey, Alec, this person's doing something. You gotta go talk to somebody. Matter of fact, Poop Pants guy was one of those broken arm poop pants.
Poop pants.
That's a hell of a name. But yeah, it was more often than not. I never really had anything quite as fun as somebody popping champagne. It was mostly just
terrible things.
No, not terrible. Just people being stupid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was like,
Like they're getting aggressive with somebody, or they're like, or doing something stupid on a machine,
the aggressive
and smashing
stuff.
it around, or throwing stuff.
Yeah.
I had somebody. I did have somebody that I was next to. I was squatting on a squat rack.
Yeah.
And this was also uncomfortable, not because of what happened right afterwards, but what happened after the emergency happened. But I was squatting on a squat rack. The guy was squatting on a Smith machine, and he didn't put any bars down, and also he was squatting on a Smith machine. So it was the first issue. He had 3 plates on each side, and he also had a pad on his back. So the pad slipped down.
Nice.
And yanked him down.
Yeah.
And so he went under the bar and everything. I heard his back crack. So, I thought he just snapped his back. This is at the gym that you and I met, Mike.
Yes.
The first gym I ever met Mike at, it was at this gym. So the guy breaks his back, and though he had said the Smith machine was in front of a mirror, he was facing the mirror, broke his back, fell under the bar, and in front of the mirror, somehow wedged between, he was doing box jumps too. So there was a plyo box there.
Okay.
Yeah. So he got stuck in between all of that stuff.
Oh my God.
And so he was trying to crawl out, and I was like, don't move. And he's like, oh, I broke my back. And I was like, you didn't break your back. You probably just slipped a disc, but you can't move. All right. We're calling 911 now. And I turned to a trainer. I was like, call 911. And the trainer was like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I'm effing sure. I was like, yeah, I'm definitely sure. Just go call 911. So then they go run. And then I just wanted to calm this guy down. So I felt like he broke his back, but I didn't want to freak him out anymore. I just didn't need him to move.
Say it.
Right.
Yeah.
So he got in a position he was already in a position that I felt like he shouldn't come out of now, because he wasn't like tangled up. He was like now laying on his side. I was like, you can't move. Don't move at all. He's like, I broke my back. I was like, you probably just slipped a disc. Either way, you don't want to move. Everything's probably fine. And in my head, I'm like, you broke your back. You definitely broke your back. And then another trainer comes over, who's actually the fitness director at the time. She was like, oh man, you definitely broke your back. And I'm like, awesome, thank you. I just tried to calm this poor guy down, and now you're just telling him. I was like, this is like the worst way that you deal with anything. Paramedics come, and then I needed to call the person's emergency contact. Why, like directors or whatever, don't call him? Why it has to be me? I have no idea. So I do it.
Yeah.
And so I call the emergency contact. The emergency contact was a stripper that he literally just met and started talking to and wasn't even really dating. So she was really questioning why she was even the emergency contact.
Nice.
So she even asked me questions about why she was, and I was like, I don't know anything.
But you're listed.
Yes, you're listed. That's all I know. So I'm calling you. And so she had all these. It was weird. It was very strange.
That's That's definitely a good one. That's a good one.
The guy would end up being okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he actually recovered. I mean, it was a couple months later, but it was not nearly as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah.
But he did break his back too. So yeah, it just wasn't like, it wasn't a terrible. He fractured his back and slipped a disc, and so it was like the best case scenario for what I saw.
Oh man.
Yeah, but he was back lifting like 4 months or something like that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Dan, I think it's up. I think our time's up for today.
Well, we could talk for another 24 hours probably. So yeah.
I was gonna say
and you need to get some sleep.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
but
actually both need to get some
I've gotten the numbers and the fingers from Mike, and it's been enough time. Yeah.
Those fingers.
Those fingers. See how
that is. Again, we've done. This is our 11th episode. 14th, I think.
Yeah, it's our 29th episode.
How do we end this thing again?
Then
I go.
I look at the thing and I say, hey, if you really enjoyed our mindless rambling for the last 30 minutes of your life, plus some really substantially good stuff before that too. Honestly, Dan, I know Mike is probably going to be like, come on, man, just finish it out. I really enjoyed just like getting on a huge tangent of just talking about funny gym stuff, because I feel like that's It's such an important part of like our experience to us too. Like people don't even realize until you're in the role of being like a fitness director how wild it is to like see all the things you see at gyms. People are crazy at gyms. Anyways, back to me, Mike. So,
Mike, you're the best.
Thank you, Mike. Yes, appreciate you. So if you enjoyed the episode today, make sure to like, subscribe, turn on those notifications from YouTube and everywhere that you find podcasts. Dan, take it away for today.
Thank you guys for listening to another episode of The Lab.